Hello everyone, and welcome to 2025. It's Yvonne Shepherd here, founder and CEO of Women's Fitness Adventures. And surprise, surprise, I have a guest with me this afternoon, which was something I had been thinking about for the last couple of days. So I'd like to introduce you, if you haven't met her, to Angela Counsel. Angela is a good friend. She is part of the business community I belong to, and Angela is also a member. So hello, Angela. Thanks for joining me at short notice.
Thanks for having me.
So Angela, for those of you who don't know, Angela runs a fabulous program called Embrace Menopause, and we'll put a link to that. But we're not here to talk about menopause. We're here to talk, Angela and I, to share a conversation with you that we had the other day with our collective wisdom of having worked with women our age for probably collectively, I'd say over 50 years if we put our experience together, Angela, about, the questions of, I'd like to do this and nothing ever happens about it, or I want to be this type of person and nothing ever happens, or I'd like to lose weight, or I'd like to get fitter, or I'd like to, look good and feel good and blah, blah, blah. And that never happens. And we were having this chat the other day, and as I was sitting here thinking about Monday Night Live, I was thinking, I think that this conversation would be really rich and really valuable for all our members and non-members who are watching to listen in. So that's what we're going to chat about tonight. So if you are watching, or this afternoon, or wherever you're watching, if you're watching live, please go ahead and say hi in the comments. Hello, Suze. And if you are watching on replay, please let us know as well. So, Angela, we had this conversation as we were tackling some hills the other day, which is always a great way to figure things out or come up with lots more questions. And, and this is coming out in my newsletter, I've worked in women's health and wellness for nearly 20 years in the fitness space. But it's not just the fitness space. It kind of laps over into that mindset space as well. And the way
plays such a role, doesn't it?
It plays a huge role, but also the way we talk to ourselves. And we were chatting about that at hiking this morning. And I was watching the tennis stars being interviewed the other day, and they asked them what their New Year's resolutions were. These are high-profile tennis players, and they said, to eat better. Okay, all right. Wouldn't you have professionals around you? And to be kinder to myself. And I went, wow, if that language is happening at that really high level of sport where they have, professionals to support them in every single way, well, what does that mean for us as, mere mortals in that space? But we often talk about wanting to change. I've heard it every year, and every year that I had the gym, and every year it pops up in your feed. I want to look good and I want to feel good. What do you think about that?
And we're seeing it right at the very moment, because all everything across the board is, I want to lose weight, I want to be fitter, I want to be whatever, because it's the new year. But then go and have you would have seen this in the gym. Come 4 months down or 4 weeks down the track, everything's kind of falling apart. And it's like, I think, and I, because women who come and work with me, the majority of them are trying to lose weight, and I try to get them not to focus on the weight. We need to have a bigger goal. What are you really, what's your real, purpose? What do you really want to do? And it reminds me of something that was written in Atomic Habits by James Clear. And he said, there's no point. We have these external goals, but that doesn't keep us going. That doesn't motivate us. We have to change who we think we are. We have to change our identity. And if we're showing up all the time going, I never succeeded anything, I'm just lazy, I'm blah, 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 and they're the words that are going around in your head. It doesn't really matter what type of goal you've got that belief that you're not going to be successful. So it's the first thing is, well, who is it you want to be? How do you want to show up in the world? How do you want to show up? I want to show up energetic. I want to show up vital. And this is part of what we were talking about, looking at, I was talking about my mother. We look at older women. It's like, we're all we get on that last third of our life for the majority.
Hang on. Maybe, no. Still got half of it.
Depends on how long you're going to be, how long you're going to live for. But, we are on that last journey. How do we want to live that? Do we want to live that sick and sitting in a chair and incapacitated and be unable to move? or do we want to be, you know, moving and vital? And, you know, we're talking about some of the members in the group who, you know, 70 plus, and they're out there doing these massive, great big hikes. And to me, that's who I want to be. I definitely don't want to be, you know, someone as I age that's got all these things wrong with me that stops me from doing the things I want to do.
I was thinking about that, you know, when we were chatting the other day about, you know, getting in the shoes of the behaviors of the person that you want to become, and to take it away from hiking at the moment. One of my long held dreams is to be a great ukulele player. Right. So, and if anyone at home is watching, then please put your thumbs up if you want to be a great ukulele player, or if you can relate to this story that I'm about to share with you. And I have a beautiful ukulele, and it's in a beautiful cover. It's fantastic. And I want to be that ukulele player, but do I actually do anything other than admire my beautiful ukulele and wish that I was a ukulele player? Do I actually do anything that moves me towards that? And the answer is no. I tried and I gave up because it was too hard. And this bit about it being really hard in the beginning is where most people, I think, drop off because it's too hard and too uncomfortable.
You don't see yourself as a ukulele player.
Not yet. I still got the other half, remember, of my life to go.
But if there was a part of you that could see yourself as a ukulele player, no, it doesn't have to be the best ukulele player.
No.
But that's a hard word to say. Just as a ukulele player, you would be playing your ukulele more often.
Yes, we could say banjo. That might be an easier word than ukulele.
Or whatever it is. But that's just, you know, and if we talk about hiking, it's like, how many women in the group see themselves as hikers?
Yeah, it's the same in the running community. You know, you might run and you think, well, what, I have to run 10 marathons to consider myself a runner. But you don't. No. You just have to get out there and do it and consistently show up as doing that behavior, right?
Yeah, that's right. You know, and hiking, it's just, I'm a hiker. So what does a hiker do? A hiker hikes. And even if you're not that woman yet, actually making the statement of I am allows that, you know, part of your brain going, oh, hang on a minute. If I'm a hiker, I'm going to hike. If I'm a runner, I'm going to run. If I'm going to be a ukulele player, I'm going to play a ukulele.
Yeah, no, you have to do the doing.
Yeah.
Well, that's right. Not yet. They haven't said that will come.
Well, you don't improve unless you do something.
I know. That's right. It's the best kept secret in town, isn't it?
Well, we know next year's Christmas party, we're going to get everyone can hold Yvonne to this.
I didn't say I was going to be. I said I want to, but I'm not prepared to do anything about it. We've got a couple of comments there, but I'll just check in. Hello, Kerry. Hello, Michelle and Tassie. Hello, Ellen. Hello, Jelena. Hello, Anne. And Ellen says ditto. So I'm assuming, Ellen, that means my story about the ukulele, that if you want to be something, you have to show up as some as that person and to act on those behaviours. Margaret's from Cairns says violin for her and lots of practice needed. So that is who you want to be, a violinist, Margaret, I'm guessing. And so to get to that, you need to behave, act, see, think and do like a violinist. And Happy New Year to Alethea as well. But it's not just so and if you're watching us live as we're having this conversation, go ahead and type in there if you think you're a hiker, right? If you consider yourself a hiker, just type hiker. And if you hike but don't think you're a hiker, now we're getting into lots of mixed up words, then just go, no, don't think so. I'd just be keen to know, because I know in the running community, lots of people don't say they're runners. They go, I run, but don't say they're runners. But it's not just when you adopt the behaviours and the attitudes, it's not just going hiking. It's all the other things that go along with it. So one of the things is, you know, getting your stuff out the night before to get organised, or planning ahead, or making it a non-negotiable part of your week or your day, or doing some fitness or some strength training or some activities that, you know, give you that muscle strength or injury prevention, or making sure you have the right equipment. So it's all of those things that go with it that we do daily or weekly or monthly, isn't it, that make us into that person, or we start acting like the person that we want to become.
Yeah, that's right, because we look at someone who we consider to be a hiker, and what does that person do? So we then just go, okay, well, I don't think I'm a hiker yet, but I want to be. So, but who is a hiker? And then I say, well, Yvonne's a hiker. What does Yvonne do?
Mm.
And then I'll do what Yvonne does to start with. I mean, that's where you go. It's like, if you're not sure, just find someone who's already doing it and allow them to be your role model, and then just to follow them. And you will see. Now, we all know that, you go out and you're a runner, you're a hiker, and you're out there and you're doing that. So people can see you doing that. And so others who want to be like you, all they have to do is copy what you do.
Yeah, but that sounds really simple, right?
Until you own it. Yeah.
It sounds really simple. And, I guess it's this, if we map it over to a business sense, or to anything that we start that's new, it takes a lot of work, right?
Yeah,
it takes
totally.
a lot of work to twist our mind into, I always think like this, now I have to start twisting and shaping it. And that's really sometimes painful, or really uncomfortable, or really, I didn't have an hour today to do it, so I'm not going to do it at all. And then that morphs into 3 or 4 days in a row. I know why from my gym experience and from the last 10 years of doing Women's Fitness Adventures, I can predict someone who's going to be a hiker or not just by the language and the behaviors. And in the gym, I could predict who was going to stay and, make changes. But what do you think it is? Why do you think, and I know from the menopause, everyone wants to lose weight when they get to you first or feel good, but why do you think some people continue on and others just go, it's too hard, I'm out?
Well, I think to start with, people think they can do it with willpower, and willpower very quickly becomes won't power. You have to have a bigger reason. And one of the exercises I do with my inner circle is what we call the why. Why is this important? If someone says, I want to lose weight, well, why is that important? And they'll give you an answer and you go, why is that important? And you continue to ask that questions until you get to the depth, because to start with, it's just the rote answers that come off. But then we get to, around about answer 3 or 4, there's kind of a stop, and that's when we go from the conscious into the subconscious mind. And then we go deeper. And that's when we find, that there is past beliefs, there is family history, it's all this stuff. And that's the real reason why. And when we can dig deeper, it's not about losing weight. It's about more than that. It's not about, getting fit. It's deeper and deeper. And when we get to that deeper reason for why we want to change, if we can get there, then we will keep going. But if not, if we're just staying up in the top, couple of why do I want to lose weight? Oh, so that I look better or whatever. Very quickly, when things get tough, you'll just go, oh, well, it doesn't really matter what I look like. It's all too hard. I think we need to really dig deep as to what the real reason is. And one of the conversations that we were having when we were out on the track is, for me, I look at my mother, who really, she's in her 80s, but she has nothing medically wrong with her. She's not on medications. She, there's nothing to stop her from moving. Yet she sits in this unit and she doesn't move. She doesn't get out. She doesn't see people. She's very insular. And I look at that and go, well, I don't want to be like that. So what's it going to take for me? And so for me, it's really important that I continue to move and use my body, because I know I have a lot of similar tendencies to her, and it would be really easy for me to sit at home and do nothing, and really easy, because I can see what she does, and I know that I could do that if I wanted to shut down as well. She's shut down, and I'm trying to kind of bring her back out again, but I don't want to be like that. So for me, my driving force is to actually be able to continue and move and be vital and show my children what's possible. I want my kids to know that as you age doesn't mean your life ends, that you can get better as you age. But that's not what my mother's showing me. So for me, that's my big driver is I don't want that. I want something different.
It's really interesting because we can learn a lot from our parents' generation. Roughly everyone watching as well has parents around the same generation who didn't really, spend a lot of money on their health or commitment to health because it wasn't really, we didn't know as much then as we know now. But even when our parents aren't here and my parents aren't here, we can still learn a lot from our parents. Like they're in our heads every single day.
Yes, I know.
Whether we want them to be or not. But I think, and in a good way, they always live on, and that's sometimes hard to see. But I think that as women, because we're born nurturers, we will always put ourselves last as well. And fortunately, no one I know has ever been tested with the fit your own face mask first before you help others. Whether that would actually happen or not, I don't know. I've been told it would, but I'm not sure. But I just think that because we're not used to doing hard stuff, to break through this hard at the beginning, messy in the middle, and glorious when you get there, that we can just go hands up, I'm out of here. But in my experience of working with women in the gym, it was, I want to look good, I want to lose weight. Look good, lose weight, get fitter. And I saw it on TV the other day, and it doesn't actually mean anything. So your point about when you have a goal, and a goal that scares the shit out of you basically, but excites you at the same time, is the one that will move you forward. And all those other things that we talk about will be encompassed.
Yeah, that's right. That will all happen. Yeah. But we all know, because, how many of us have been on diets and then lost weight
show of hands,
and then put it back on and then gone on another diet. We grew up in the diet culture.
Yeah, we got the wrong end of the stick on that one.
Yeah, well, totally. Yeah. But we've learned that we've got to have a certain weight. We've got to look a certain way. And the only way to get there is by going on a diet, because that's what we grew up with. That's what we learned. And we continue to do that. But we don't get results that way. We might get short-term results. And after you go through menopause, it's harder to get results. And then there's almost like, as you say, there's like, giving up because I'm going to focus on everybody else, and it's a bit like,
it's not my fault.
Yeah. And women, everyone goes out to the beach and the women kind of sit behind in all these baggy clothes and everyone else is out enjoying themselves. And they kind of, they've hidden themselves because they think that they don't look good. That all that stuff that goes on inside their head. And it's part of our culture that we've grown up with, and women are not basically, they're not stepping up and saying, hey, this is the best version of me and I deserve better.
Yeah, it's interesting because I know our members, and shout out if it's you, and I've seen, yes, I'm a hiker. I've seen a couple of no, I am not a hiker, and I know who you are, so I'd like you to unpack that a little bit more. I know that and I've seen it with our members, that the fitter we get and the stronger we get, the more we're out there. We're doing stuff. We don't care. We're not sitting at the sidelines on the beach. We're in the waves. We're on the
you get so much more confidence. I think, and that's one of the things. I think. Well, I know for me, hiking gives me confidence, particularly when it's uneven and everything. Today, I had to. My dogs. People know the story of my dogs. They have a tendency sometimes to go off in the bush, and they didn't happen to have their trackers on today. And so I was actually had to track them, try and find them up a creek. And I was climbing over rocks up and down and in and out of this creek through the bushland. And because I've done all of this work, because I do trail fit, I wasn't scared. Yes, I was walking through water and all of that type of stuff, and I was going over rocks and everything. But I had a confidence that, hey, I could do this. And even once we got the dogs back, they were with my husband because he was just standing at the end of the creek and I'm the one climbing through the creek. And then I had to get back home, and I had like this 10-foot creek bank that I had to climb up to get up and then bush back bash to get back to the track. That gives me a confidence. If I hadn't been hiking, if I hadn't been doing all of this work, I would not have had the confidence to do that. But being out there on the track teaches me that I can do these things. And I think for me, and you know, that Iceland was a big change for me. It was just a life changer for me. It was just like, that's when I learned that my body can do anything that I want. The only thing that will hold me back is what's going on between my two ears.
Yeah, I think that's a really valid point. And we spoke about our why before. And if anyone who's watching live, and I'll share your comment in a moment, Ellen, wants to share their why. And for me, I often talk about this is, when we're fit and when the fitter we are, the easier it is to manage the ups and downs of life. And when we feel good about ourselves, we feel strong. And when we feel strong, we can make choices. And when we make choices, we have freedom. And that for me is, I want to have as much freedom as possible over the choices I make for as long as possible, because that means I can keep moving, I can keep going places, I can keep doing the things I want to do on my terms. And that's why I do it. And Ellen, it's quite similar to yours here. Ellen says, in my brain, I know I need to be active for my health, but the overriding motivation is that a lot of really great places, like our New Zealand one coming up, can only be accessed if you hike there, like a helicopter, a jet boat, and then hiking out, Ellen, woohoo. That excitement definitely motivates me. I need the reward to keep moving forward. Absolutely. Think of all the memories that we're going to create, you're going to create, because you have physically got yourself to a space of being able to take on any trail that you want. And Louise, I know we were together this morning. This topic is so appropriate for me at the moment. And, we all, we're all fighting these voices in our head. It doesn't matter who we are. If you weren't here at the beginning, and hello, Di, and hello, Janine, and hello, Chris. When I was watching some interviews with the tennis players for their New Year's resolutions, their words were to talk kinder to themselves, to eat better. And these are professionals who have lots and lots of support around them. So, we talk about wanting to be that person. We chatted about this on the trail. I want to be a hiker, I want to be a runner, I want to be fitter, I want to be that. But, the things that get you there, it's this gap in the gain, right? We think, that's such a big gap. If I want to do a multi-day hike, I need to be able to walk 20 kilometers a day for 5 days. And how on earth am I going to do that when I don't even have 20 minutes in one day? Or I'm just too busy. I'll just save it all up for the last 2 weeks of my training and hope that it all works out. But as Leanne and Pamela said in our masterclass just before Christmas, it's that showing up and that 1% every single day or every other day that you do. It's that tiny little habit that you make, that you do daily, that you do weekly, that forms the routine that begins to change you. So if you get back to my ukulele playing, right? Just an example, everyone. I'm not planning on being a ukulele player by the end of the year. But if I wanted to be, I would have to show up and get the thing out of the beautiful, beautiful bag that it's in, right? And actually start to learn it and do a little bit each day. And then over time I would progress. So it's no different to hiking, right? It's no different to looking after ourselves. We just have to do that little, and it sounds simple, doesn't it? We just have to do that little 1% of something every day or every other day. And
it actually is simple, because this is also a lot of what James Clear talks about. Now, if you haven't read the book Atomic Habits, it's excellent.
Really good.
But that's what he talks about. It's just like, what's a 1% step I can take towards being my future self? So if your future self is I'm a hiker, what's 1%? And 1% might just be walking to the end of the street today. And it might even, to start with, be getting my shoes or my boots out. That could be your 1%.
Yeah.
That's my step towards the hiker I want to be. Then the next step is I'm going to walk to the end of the street. Then the next step is I'm going to walk around it's 1%, and it's making things. It's not, can I do a multi-day hike? It's, can I get my boots out? Can I walk
we think too far ahead, right?
Yeah, we've got to do the smallest of smallest things, because the thing is, if you get your boots out and you put them on and you say, well, all I'm going to do today is walk to the end of the street. Obviously, it depends on how long the street is. So it's a highway. Yes. But if it's just, I'm going to walk to the end of an average suburban street, without a doubt, by the time you get to the end of the street, you might go, well, hang on a minute, I'm going to walk just a little bit further. Because the more you do it, then you go, I'm enjoying this. I'm going to go a little bit further. But it's just committing to that really small thing. Your commitment's only to the small thing. It's not to the big thing.
It's not to the elephant.
It's like every little step. And then your commitment is that 3 days a week, you're gonna go out and you're gonna walk to the end of the street. Within 2 weeks, you'll be walking a lot further than the end of the street. And but all you're committing to is just that small bit.
And that becomes your new baseline, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's where the gap and the gain. It's like, well, I've gained this much. My gain now is I can get to the end of the street easily. So what's the next step? Well, I'm going to walk to the, round the block, whatever it is. And I'm going to do that for a couple of weeks and then moving forwards. And it's like, that's what makes you a hiker, not whether or not you can do a multi-day hike. It's whether or not you can commit to those tiny little steps, because guarantee if you want to do a multi-day hike, that's going to keep you going, and then you've got a training plan. But
but why do you think it's so hard? Like, nothing changes if nothing changes, but why do we keep expecting the whole world over that if we do nothing that we might get a different outcome?
Because it's comfortable to stay in your comfort zone, because it takes
but we know logically that we're not going to get a different outcome if we don't do anything.
I know, but it's hard. Because it's hard, and unless you have a driving goal or driving motivation, whatever that motivation is, when things get hard, we as humans don't like the tough things. We want to stay in our comfort zone.
Yeah,
we will just, as much as possible, we'll stay in our comfort zone. So it takes something bigger than the discomfort to get us out of it, and that's where it's like, well, what's bigger? And that's where whether or not it's the vision, goal, whatever it is you want, purpose, what you want to call it. Like what Ellen says, she wants the excitement of going to places that you can't get to.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, for me, I never traveled when I was, when I finished school, I went straight to work. So I didn't do the big traveling. Until I went to Iceland, I had never traveled internationally on my own. I'd always before that traveled with my husband. And so the first time I traveled and I wasn't really on my own because Jane was on the same flight. So it was good for me going over there because I flew over with her, but I had to come back. So I had to negotiate international airports on my own. I'd already done it with her on the way over. I did it on my own. Now it's like, okay, I've done that. That's fine. And I have now since, gone other places internationally. And even when because I always struggle because I don't speak the language, it's like, okay, this is just another experience.
Yeah.
Which, and so for me, but I want to do the hike. So I'm going to suffer the pain of trying to negotiate, train strikes and God knows what in Italy and France and all that type of stuff. I'm going to suffer through that pain because I want the experience, the adventure at the other end. And it's like, why are you doing this? But, it is easy when it gets hard. When, when things get hard, it's really easy to give up. And that's why I think we need to have really strong driving reasons for what we do.
Yeah, I think having something that makes you squirm but makes you excitedly squirm is it's really important to do hard things, I think, because it teaches us discipline, it teaches us the power of our mind, it teaches us about showing up, it teaches us about consistency, resilience, it teaches us just what we're capable of, because once we do something hard, whatever that might be, and hard is different for everybody, but once you do something hard, you've changed the game.
That's right. Now, you've I guarantee the majority of women that are watching us right now have all raised children. Is there nothing harder in this world than not only bringing a child into the world, but raising it from a baby into adulthood? If we can do that, and they get there and they survive and they're pretty independent, we can do those things, but we dismiss that. I mean, that honestly has to have been the hardest thing I ever did, was raise two children, and they're both now functioning adults and, living on their own. It's like, and we did that, and we didn't really think manual. About it. We just we did it, but there were tough days, and I'm sure there were days if you're like me, that you wanted to walk away from it all, but it's like close the door and hope
go to the toilet and they still follow you. Yeah.
That's right. So we can do the hard things, but in that instance, there was a driving force behind that. We wanted to grow functioning adults, which meant we didn't give up on them, even in the really tough times. But
we give up on ourselves a lot, I think.
We do, that's right. So we give up on ourselves because we're not putting, for many women, they don't think they're valuable or they're worth it or they're what they
know.
want.
I listened to so many podcasts over the break and, just across a whole variety of topics. And it was all about self-worth for women. A lot of it came down to women wouldn't put themselves first because they didn't think they were worth it. But let me share with you that when we figure out we are worth it, wow, we're quite unstoppable. That's when all those habits and everything start to change. So, if anyone's got any questions, because we're not far off finishing here, please just pop them in there. Or if you've got any comments about how you found our conversation today. But I think that we can put up so many barriers to change. But I also think that we perhaps don't know how to look for the opportunities to change as well. We kind of go, oh, that's too hard. And go, okay, well, that whole thing is too hard. But what's my next tiny step that I can do that's not so hard? I think if we stopped putting that barrier up, and it was something we wanted to do because we wanted to do it, not because someone said you should go hike this or you should go play the violin or whatever it might be. It's something we really wanted to do. Being shown the way or being shown that first step, I think is probably maybe the simplest way to start to change.
It's just making the commitment to this one step, and that's all you make the commitment to is that first 1%. You're only committing to that, whatever it is. It's just, 1%, and that's all you're committing to. But you're committing to that because you want to be a different person to who you are now.
Exactly. And I know, looking at almost everyone in this who's watching live, is that I have seen you when you first started, and I have seen what you've done, and I've heard your fears and doubts and challenges, and I've heard, most excitingly of all, your success. And you know what? It looks really good on you, that success. And, if I had been able to record when everyone first started what they and Louise, perfect example this morning, of when we first met you last year, to what your language is now, to how you're showing up now. Whereas, if we look back on that and go, I don't even know, or I do know my roadmap to get me from here to here. So the question that I have, which is today's newsletter, which will come out soon, is if we're sitting here, and I was sitting at my desk going, oh, there's a whole brand new year ahead of me sitting here right now. Okay, we're 6 days in. But when I get to December 31 and I turn around and I look over my shoulder at the year gone by, what will I be most proud of, or what will I have achieved, or what will I have done that I could literally set up right now and start walking's the literal term, but start moving myself towards that, because that's that 1%.
Yeah,
that's that habit.
It is. That's how you start a habit. It's first off making the decision that you want something different, and then taking the 1%, the first step. What step am I going to take that's 1% closer to the person I want to be?
Exactly. So it doesn't look like we have any questions, which is surprising, or comments. So if you are watching live, and I know there's more people watching live than have identified, so thank you, whoever you might be, and you're thinking, I really want to get into hiking. And I had lots of chats with new members over the break, people calling up to have some conversations with me about, do you think I can? What if I wanted to do this? What's possible? And Angela and I had this chat the other day, because I don't know, most of you maybe don't. Angela had a hip replacement 6 months before we went to Iceland on our trek, and I think you asked me, would you be fit enough, or would you be
probably,
able,
or I probably thought
or your own boss?
you'd saw me limping around, and I think I said, "Oh, you probably didn't think I could do it," and you said, "Yes, I knew you could do it because I knew if you made the decision that you'd be there."
Yeah, and I think that's the same for everyone, no matter what we choose. If we truly, if we truly commit to something and just break it down and know that you've got, quite a few of our members and that I know and my friends have coaches. Some have life coaches, some have running coaches, some have, food coaches, some have a whole lot of things. If you get the right support around you, it should be a really positive experience to become that person who you want to become, not a chore, not a, oh my gosh, here we go again. Do I have to do this? Do I have to show up? So, if you're there thinking, I'd like to do this multi-day hike, or I've never done something like this before, or I'd like to, I'm not very good at showing up with new people, then, have a chat, drop a comment. There's such great support, and there's so many people who are watching live that can be role models for everybody, because we've all either walked in that space or about to walk into that space. And as women, we need to lift each other up and support each other. I think that's most important.
Yeah, I mean, because I think I joined the community right in COVID, so I know that's what, 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
Doesn't seem that long ago, but just seeing the progress of myself as well, but just seeing the progress of some of those women over the years, and you just see it's like they start out thinking, I can't do this is too hard, I'll never do a multi-day, and then they're out there, they're doing multi-days, they're hiking, they're hiking with each other, and that's just really making the decision that I don't want to be here anymore. I want to be something different. And then just doing the work. And do you show up every time? Maybe there's times you don't. And some people go and then they stop, but then it's like making sure they remember what they want and they come back to it. It's like, that's what this community, that's what I love about this community. It's like you do see the growth in women and the changes in women, and over the years. And I've seen that with quite a few women from when I very first started, and when they kind of started roughly around the same time I did, and what they're doing now that 4 or 5 years ago they would never have thought they'd be able to do.
Yeah, exactly. So there's 3 things I want to finish on. Firstly is that anxiety is real. If you're sitting there thinking, I'd really love to do this, but I'm such a nervous person, I might panic, I might worry, I don't know how to do this, will I look silly, whatever it might be, it's real, but it's manageable. Because, even if the tennis players are saying this, talking to themselves better, getting worried about stuff, it's real and it exists, and you wouldn't be alone in those thoughts. The second, I can't remember the third one. It's like a goldfish. No, I do remember it now. The pandemic was literally in March, like about end of January, we started hearing about it 5 years ago. And all those things we valued, even though it was a really unpleasant time, but we valued this slow time. We valued time for ourselves. We valued this nurturing of home cooking. We valued space and reconnecting, even if it was, virtual reconnecting. We valued all of that. And now that seems to have been thrown out the window. But what it proved in that time is that we had to change like that. And we all did. We all changed like that. So if we think we're scared of change, think back to those 5 years ago when we all had to change literally overnight. We had to change everything we knew and everything we thought overnight. So when we say change is hard, it's hard, but we can do it. And then the third thing is something that will get you going is the 52-25. What is it? 52 for 25. I am having a Friday afternoon, a Monday afternoon delight. 52 for 2025. So it's open to everyone. It's our challenge. So it can be a walk, a hike, a movement challenge. And the latest study I read was that, it's not our numbers that predict our longevity. It's our ability to move frequently that predicts our longevity. So the 52 for 25 is 52 days of not consecutive, but of hiking, of walking, of moving. And it's supported by a Facebook group, and it is going off right now. The group opened today. And it's just a way to keep yourself accountable from wherever you are. And it can be, your design. So some will get to more than 52, some will get to 52, and some will get to whatever point, but it's an accountability thing. So thank you, everyone, for listening. This is going to be recorded. It sits on Facebook and it also sits on YouTube, so you can watch the replay. Angela, do you have any last minute words you want to share with anyone?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment when you spoke about the feeling of anxiety, and I get that too, particularly when it comes to meeting new people. One of the things that I really like, now when I very first, obviously I knew you before I joined WFA, but one of the things that to start with, I don't get this online stuff, but being online for me made it so much easier to actually become part of the community, because when I was doing, walk and talk, I was in my area. When I'm online, there's no, like, videos aren't being shown. Doesn't matter what I look like. So that for me took a lot of the anxiety away because it was online. Whereas, in the past, and I mean, even still now, for me to go and hike with people that I don't know is really difficult. I don't like, I find it difficult to be around people that I don't know. Once I'm there, I'm generally fine. But the online side of things that, that you guys, that you offer, I think really can take away a lot of that anxiety, because me, the person who's hiking, is in control. I'm deciding where I'm going to walk to. It's not as if I have to be with everyone else. I'm at my pace in my area, and that's where you start. So I think that actually does help with some of that anxiety, because it puts you back in control when you can actually feel like things aren't in control, when you kind of have to show up somewhere and be with people that you've never met before.
Yeah, it's a way of easing in as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
And on the multi-day hikes, you get that with the Facebook group. You get to meet virtually
before
you meet in person, which is great for those visitors day one, right?
Yeah, it is, because you've already met. You feel like, and because I've gone on multi-day hikes, and because I've been doing walk and talks and things like that, you recognize people's voices. You don't know what they look like a lot of the times, and I know you.
Here's the 3D.
That's right. It's like, I know your voice, and then you can put the picture, the face, and the person to the voice, but you already know them because you've already been walking, you've already been doing all these other things in this virtual reality. And it's like, so I just wanted to make a point on that anxiety thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of comfort in that, and we all get anxious. One thing I have found, though, is the fitter I get, the more that goes away. I can just, it may not go away, I can just manage it better.
I totally agree.
We all get it
because you're more confident.
Absolutely. So we're going to wrap it up. We've been going 45 minutes. Can you believe that? What a great chat, Angela. I knew it would be a good chat. I will pop a link to Angela's Embrace Menopause program in the comments as well. So I know she's got a couple of programs starting, or a program starting not too far away. So I'll pop that link in there. And if that is of interest to you, I know she's had quite a few members go through a program, which is fantastic. But you can see that, we have lots of things in common that we love to chat about when we're out on the trails. We can solve anything. So thank you, Angela. Thank you, everyone, for listening, watching live or replay. And I will see you same time, same place next week. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.